I've had several very powerful experiences. I would say, even though the first time I met Baba, which is 1956, even though that was such a remarkable thing, it was not nearly as powerful as 1958, when what I experienced was such complete and total focus on his reality, his importance, his everythingness, that nothing else made any difference. Before that moment, I went through a very tremendous turmoil inside myself. This was down at the center. And then after that, I was called, together with my wife, to see Baba. And at that moment, everything was zero. That is to say, had no value, except his reality. And it was not an intellectual thing by any means. It expressed itself in enormous bliss. So I constantly was rubbing Baba's leg from his knee down to his foot. The entire time was doing that. And all the conversation was going on between my wife and Baba. And at that time, nothing that you mentally would attribute value to, such as Baba saying, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or you're very advanced, or you're on the plains, or you're this, or you're that, or you're going to become perfect tomorrow. None of those things would have made any difference, because that moment was so filled with meaning that everything else was irrelevant. The mind had slowed down so completely that it was able to grasp with an enormous impact his significance. So, notwithstanding that, my experience has been similar to the experience of others, that there were moments when Baba was very real and very close, and it was deep, meaningful appreciation of his reality when he was in India, and I was over here doing my ordinary little things, over and over and over again. I do not think of Baba in terms of when I saw him or things like that. I think of Baba now. I really don't even think about that. I think of him as this constant interaction, day to day, with him. And of course, this discourse points up how absolutely necessary it is for everyone. Because the people who were living with Baba, I feel quite sure, learned a great deal after he dropped his body in terms of what was important, what was vital. To focus on him all the time, this kind of thing. These are words. We believe what he says when he says them, but they're only words until the deep need requires the unfolding of the real meaning of those words. The vitality which draws you closer or focuses your attention on him in a far more meaningful way. And the struggle then is to disengage consciousness from all of your fears, all of your pressures. That's the struggle. On the one hand, we see the absolute necessity. He's not going to rearrange in the way we would like him to the little unimportant events of our superficial physical lives. Doesn't do that. Because what we want reflects our childishness. Now, I don't mean childishness. What we want reflects our desires, which is far worse than being childish. And what he wants for us is the final and total freeing of our consciousness from that kind of slavery that makes us subject to every possible pressure that illusion, Maya, can generate, which is always changing. And Baba says, this is the way you are. So you really can't tell. The mind is shifting like, has no more permanence than the movement of water, of the waves. There's nothing permanent there. And yet what does he say? We try to establish an abiding reality in the midst of constant change. Why? because our self wants an abiding reality. But Maya and our addiction or attachment to it causes us to try and establish this abiding reality in a place where it can't be established. So gradually we wake up to these things. So what Sarosh was saying to me, from so much experience with Baba, and he was the person that Baba always turned to for the impossible jobs. And Sarosh was of the temperament where whatever Baba said, whatever Baba wanted to be done, in spite of the fact that several others may have attempted to accomplish it with no success at all, Sarosh always, in response to Baba giving it to him, Sarosh would always come back and response would be, "Yes, Baba," as though it was a foregone conclusion that it would be done, period. See? And Baba really liked that Sarosh for that reason, really liked him. And Sarosh said to me, he said, whatever Baba has promised will happen. And every once in a while, the little events in my life, and whatever direction Baba gave me, I gradually see. And it's always surprising because you do get fixed in your attitude in thinking of where you're going, or the type of, or how your progress will unfold, you know? Or how bound you are. And as time goes on, you begin to see Baba not being bound by time. Even when he lays out a time period, you misunderstand when you try to interpret it in terms of your own limited understanding. He may sound like this much time, but where he means this much time, or even shorter. But inevitably, I see that this is continuing to unfold. That the many things that I thought of, that I have thought of in connection with what Baba has said, do come to pass. Now, the only difference in the relationship of one person to Baba and another person to Baba is the attention and the focus of each of those respective individuals, the attention they pay to the importance of that relationship, the effort they make at trying to not only focus on Baba, but trying to understand what Baba is. What is he? You have little clues. He's given you many clues. The biggest clue of all is that which you can rest like a child in. His concern, his total concern for you. Now that's the big one. But beyond that, Baba wants us to try to understand what God is. To grope with, preoccupy the mind with that. After all, life is short. All of the events that we seem to place so much importance in are very temporary and rarely to our liking. The events that come within our experience are to a large extent, the important ones, so difficult for us to control, and so often beyond or the opposite of what we would prefer. And beyond that, the endless moments that our consciousness, addicted and attached to what is unreal, the endless moments that our consciousness is preoccupied with thoughts that are primarily rooted in worry and concern. So Baba says, look, this is your state. This is your state. You have a chance. This state that is nothing but abject slavery and total and ultimate disillusionment with everything that you go through and experience in life, rooted in your desires. That is like having looked in a given direction since the beginning of time, since the beginning of your separateness. And your belief in me is like having realized that there is another direction. You alone, because of your conviction and your faith in me, even though weak and small, it's like realizing what no one realizes, that there is another direction other than this total, abysmal, dead end that sees no hope in your imagination. He says, there is another direction. I am that direction. But you know, you can't turn your head so easily in this direction. You know it's over here, but you can't turn your head because you have been looking for millions of lifetimes in this one direction. So now you know there's another direction. You find the way to begin withdrawing or turning your head, to use this kind of a metaphor. Turn your head in this direction. Try everything that you can do. Now, one way that you want to try more is to be intrigued by what this direction will yield. I am this direction. I am God. God is not enough for you. That word's not enough. It's got to intrigue you. You've got to find a way to think about this thing, God, so that it becomes overpowering, little by little.